Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Locked On Chiefs, and we have a great show for you today. A little bit of hubbub is going on in and around the leading to this team. We're going to discuss that and some of the really off-the-wall opinions that I've heard in the last 24 hours. We're going to talk about who played, who didn't, and who should coming up after that, and then we'll get into where do they go from here. It's great to get off the snide. It's great to get the first win, but there's a lot of work to be done for this team. We're going to get into it all coming up next. This is Locked On Chiefs.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs Podcast.
At least I got the name right today. I hope you guys are having a good one and get your names right today because there's a new name in Chiefs Kingdom. I know this won't shock you. Could have like 5 tight end sets coming at you here pretty soon. Unfortunately, Maurice French was released from the practice squad to sign another tight end, which I don't know, caught me a little bit off guard. I don't know about you.
Yeah, a little bit. You have to wonder. It sounds like he hasn't played football for a while, so it's kind of surprising, but they liked what they saw. And honestly, and there you go, my apologies again. And if you look at it and you say, okay, look what they did with Jody Fortson. Now he is contributed, at least on special teams. He didn't contribute on offense yesterday, but that's a good sign going forward. So I think if you are expecting that maybe that's kind of what they're looking at here, is that maybe this is somebody that can develop into a role player down the road. They'll have 4 tight ends now. Who's to say that they're not going to have 4 tight ends for the next foreseeable future in a couple of years? Because Blake Bell's only here on a 1-year deal. Jody Fortson, although we like him, who knows how long he's going to be here. Gray and Kelsey, I think, are going to be staying here for a while. So
stop me if you've heard this before, but Matt Derrick gave us some background on him. Former basketball player at Baylor who made the switch to football on the practice squad in order to try to develop. This sounds like a story that we've heard a million times before.
Yep, and so we'll see. I don't know that it's going to go anywhere, but it's a practice squad player. They liked what they saw, and they thought that it was worth trying to see if they could develop him. So, considering what they've done at the position this year to overhaul it, I'm very happy with where they are, and I think that they're in a good position moving forward.
Yeah, I think so too. Who's not in a good position going forward is any national talking head that wants to talk about this altercation that happened in the Chiefs-Browns game. I'm fed up with national opinion on this about how dare Greg Lewis defend his player from what was perceived or not perceived. There's a lot going on here, and I know there were other comments that you want to highlight, but let me just say this out loud for everyone to hear, you Browns fans too. It's exactly what should have happened. You can't go at a coach, no matter what, if, ands, or buts, on a sideline or not. Coaches are off limits. Don't touch them, period.
Can't say I disagree with that. The one caveat I would put on that is that if the coach does something and swings at you, that's a little bit of a different issue. But to my opinion, Greg Lewis wasn't swinging at him. He's pushing him out of the way and trying to get him off his player. And, there's clear video evidence that the guy was stepping on Clyde. So I don't really know how you defend that. And, whether or not you want to say it was incidental, okay, well, he's still stepping on him.
Yeah, I don't care if
he's got
or somebody bumped into him. It doesn't matter to me. If I'm Greg Lewis, I have to react to that and protect my guy.
Right, and he's stepping on him with what you would figure are going to be metal cleats, and that could cause serious injury to an unprotected part of the body. So I think it was, I think it was a well-deserved shove. And honestly, if the NFL is going to go and fine Greg Lewis for that, I get it. But I do think that it was the right thing to do to disqualify the player. And the league obviously thought so because it wasn't the officials that did it. I mean, yes, they're the ones that actually made the call on the field. That's what you saw. But they were talking about it during the game. NFL New York called that in, I guarantee you, because the guy was sitting there, looked like he was listening to somebody talking to him in his ear. And NFL New York is the one that made that call.
Yeah, and they should have. And
yep.
Make no mistakes. Should Greg have done that? Probably not, but you take a look at it, and as guys start to get in a scrum off of any normal pile on any given play in a game, it's exactly what the referees do. They push guys apart to try to separate them. This wasn't a swing. The coach didn't assault anyone. The Cleveland media has been going crazy all day, and it's driving me insane, so I just want to put that out there. And at the same time, I understand where Stefanski's coming from, because if it had been a player that the altercation was with, I don't think Harrison should have been ejected at that point. But this is a clear line. You don't touch coaches and you don't touch refs, period.
Yeah, you have to set that bar. I mean, if you don't set the bar there, what do you do? I mean, at that point, you're allowing coaches to be brought into altercations on the sidelines. And you're exactly right. That's the problem with football. And I mean problem very loosely, but that is a problem with football, is that everybody is so close to the field of action. If they're on the sideline, it could happen at any moment. So, the football field is very wide, but plays go to the sideline all the time. So that could happen at any moment. Players have to understand opposing coaches or coaches really of any kind should be off limits. So, and I agree with you, refs should as well.
I got to tell you, if it had not happened, if the guy gets to step on Clyde, intentional or otherwise, and nothing happened, I would be furious at Greg Lewis right now. You guys would be hearing me rant about a coach that didn't have the nuts to stand up for his guy. This is what you want to see. There is no negativity to this for the Kansas City Chiefs. You can deal with public opinion all you want, but I understand the argument from the Brown side. It's unfortunate. Don't be dumb. Don't touch coaches.
Yeah. And if you realize, and he had to have realized he was stepping on a player, because his leg was up. It's not like he thought it was the ground. His leg was not extended. There's no way it was the ground at that point. If you realize you're on a player and somebody pushes you to get you off the player, realize that and just accept it. I mean, yeah, you got a lot of emotion. Yeah, that's an emotional game, but you got to accept those types of things. It's going to happen. And if you can't keep your cool, things like this are going to put your team at a disadvantage. And obviously Cleveland was.
Yeah. And you know what? Next week is next week. We'll see what happens. I doubt that there's a suspension for Greg Lewis. There might be a fine, and it is what it is. I guess you got to set a precedent if you're league, because those altercations can't happen between players and coaches anymore. If I was going to think that was going to happen, I think I would probably come down a little bit harder on both sides of it, just to kind of set that and make sure that it stays apart. But one thing that isn't staying apart is me and your money and everything else that goes on when you're betting on gridiron action at BetOnline.ag, the best place, the number one place for all your pro and college action that you want to get going. Updated interface has more odds and props and contests, and it continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head over to the website, use your mobile device or whatever you want to get 100% bonus on your welcome. And that's with a special code NFL100. You do that just for signing up. From football to basketball and obviously everything that's going on prop-wise in the NFL right now. It's kind of crazy, but some of it's entertaining. BetOnline is the fastest, easiest way to get all your fantasy action, favorite action onto the line. Did you see how I did that? At your favorite sportsbook. Use our promo code LOCKEDON. Let them know that we sent you over there. It's BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts.
A lot of conversations going on about how the Browns lost that game, and let people talk all they want. The reality is, and this is really what I would like to discuss for just a moment, is Kansas City won, Cleveland lost. And you can say it wasn't pretty by the Chiefs for the first quarter, maybe first three quarters, if you want to say it that way. That's fine. What it came down to is Kansas City executed when it mattered the most. And they were able to come back and they were able to win the game. If you want to say that the Browns bullied the Chiefs for the first three quarters, say it. I don't care. They did.
Mm-hmm.
Issue is the only thing that really matters is the score at the end of the game. And, you talked about talking heads saying interesting quotes about that whole sideline fracas. Myles Garrett coming out and saying that, that Patrick Mahomes throw to Tyreek Hill was bad. I'm just sitting here. Okay, was it completed? Did it get the job done? Did it get Tyreek pretty much a free run into the end zone? I think, yeah, he was under duress. He was being chased. He made a play that, like we talked about yesterday, 3 QBs in the league can make? Him, Rodgers, and I'm not sure Russell Wilson probably, I guess. Maybe Matt Stafford, but.
Yeah, I mean, was it underthrown? Sure.
Yeah.
But it was underthrown in a specific spot that he understands that Tyreek's going to be able to go get it. He's got the body advantage there to go attain that.
Yep.
And he trusts his receiver. This is not a cautionary tale, because we've seen quarterbacks, maybe not Baker yet, but we've seen quarterbacks do the same thing with Odell Beckham Jr. And when they get both on the field and they're both kind of, in their jam and doing their thing. I can see that kind of play being tried. But just like the last play that Baker threw, I don't think that he can get that kind of play done. And Garrett can be upset if he wants. It's a loss. I don't blame him a bit. But whether it was bad or not, that's probably a better pass than 30 of the starting quarterbacks in this league could have made.
And the thing that I would argue on, when you look at Baker's last throw, they were arguing during the game that he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds. Okay, he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds. I don't care. He didn't get the ball where he wanted to go, and it ended up costing the game. Well, costing them a chance to go and win the game. I'll put it that way. It didn't cost them the game because there were several other plays that did. But you still look at the entirety of that throw from Mahomes to Hill, and he's sitting there in a situation where he has the visual of, okay, I can't throw it 70 yards and try to get Hill in a spot where he could catch it by himself. But the defenders got his back to me. If I take a chance and give Tyreek a chance to win a jump ball type scenario, which that throw could have turned into, I like my chances. And he took the chance, and it turned the entire tide of the game.
It did.
One play.
It did.
I mean,
and I'll tell you this,
so many similarities to San Francisco. So many similarities to that Super Bowl throw.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, I don't buy it. I don't think he was trying to throw it away. Because if he's trying to throw it away, he was already in the motion. It would have sailed high, if anything.
Oh, you're talking to Baker.
Yeah, or he would have thrown it at the guy holding the yard marker.
Yeah.
I don't believe that right in line with the out that guy was running. I can't remember. Was it Bryant, their tight end, that I think was lined up in the slot on that play?
Could have been.
I don't buy that he was throwing it away.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was trying to make a play, and so be it. The only thing I will say is that I do think that you saw a situation yesterday, and this goes back to a bigger league thing. You saw a situation yesterday where a lot of the teams that set their players during the preseason didn't play well yesterday. I think it really killed Buffalo's chance yesterday. The Chargers won, so good for them, and I'm glad it worked out for them. Or, well, I don't know that I'm glad, but it worked out for them. Okay, but Cleveland didn't play Baker most of the during the preseason, and he ended up playing pretty well yesterday. Honestly, for 90% of the game, or 99% of the game, he played very well. Mm-hmm. He was putting the ball where it needed to be almost all the time. But when the game was on the line, he wasn't able to get it done. And yes, he was tripped, and say what you want, defend him all you want. But those are the types of plays that are going to make or break a season. And like I said yesterday, and I will say this again, like I said yesterday, Cleveland had to do anything that they possibly could to have a chance to beat the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And they did. That's why they went for it twice on fourth down, because they knew if they didn't score TDs, they weren't going to have a chance to win. Kansas City doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, outside of those couple drives late, I thought Baker played well.
Yep.
Outside of the fumble, I thought Nick Chubb played great. If you guys missed it, I told you Nick Chubb was going to come for him, and he did. It's all about those special plays that you can make. And I see a lot of people talking about, what this means for the Cleveland Browns. For me, this was confirmation that the Browns are in the race to be amongst the Chiefs in terms of the top of the AFC, because you didn't see Buffalo do enough. You surprised that Pittsburgh could even pull that off. Maybe they're in the race there. Wasn't impressed with Miami. Obviously, Indy had ups and downs. The Chargers didn't put out like we expected them to. So, all the Ferraris except for Mahomes kind of fell off.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about what happened in Green Bay, or what happened in, I guess, Jacksonville with the Green Bay game.
We'll get to that. That's one Ferrari we should talk about, because I don't think the Chiefs are one Ferrari. I don't think the Browns are like a beat up something that needs all kinds of repairs. But if they were, I know where they could get the parts. It's over at rockauto.com, because you got to put it all in there to get it running again, right? And you can find everything that you need there. It's not a brick and mortar store, so you don't have to worry about what's in stock or what kind of brands they're holding. You can save up to 50, even 100% over there and not have to go anywhere. They're a family business, and they've been in business for 20 years helping you. and they offer prices that are the same for everybody, no matter what you do, whether you're a pro or an amateur like me. So it's really worth your time to go explore their site, build a cart, put everything in it. And when you see that box that says, how'd you hear about us? Let them know that Locked On sent you over there. I think that you guys will be paid off and you can get whatever you need to get fixed. They have amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car or truck or jalopy will ever need. Check out rockauto.com.
Jalopy, I love that word. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Don't they all? Putting together that game plan, obviously, I don't think it went the way that they wanted. Two things, like you said, the Browns played them tough for 3.5 quarters. When it did go south, I thought it was a team effort. It wasn't like Mahomes was just saving the day, doing outlandish stuff. Like the defense stood up. Chris Jones led them to that. They were able to get off the field, and I thought that all culminated together.
I disagree with you just a little bit on the fact that I think that Mahomes did do outlandish stuff. That touchdown pass was still outlandish. But the key, though, is, and where I want to draw the line on my distinction is that led to the defense ascending. Mm-hmm. I think Mahomes' presence, I think Mahomes on the sidelines, I think just his leadership is what led to the Chiefs to be able to come back in that game. And they are never out of any game with him at QB. And I think those types of plays that he makes his teammates realize if he can do stuff like that, all we got to go do is our jobs and we'll win the game. And that's what happened. And don't get me wrong, Chris Jones played great right after that touchdown. He is the reason they were able to get a second touchdown as quickly as they were. He was one of the reasons. So I don't want to take anything away from him, but Mahomes puts you on a whole nother level. And I think that's really a huge key.
Yeah. I mean, there's no two ways about that. And it requires support for him to be able to do that, not just on the defensive side. A couple of things that stood out to me when I reviewed all the snaps.
I'm sorry, did you hear his quote about Tyreek Hill?
No.
He's like, yeah, that short dude will go out and catch the ball or something like that. Right. Yeah. It just makes me chuckle because I know that those two have a lot of love between the two of them, and it's just great to see. Sorry.
Dude, he might have been able to throw it at the far hash and had Tyreek go get it. You never know.
Right.
But, I mean, and Tyreek was obviously, according to PFF, he was the highest graded player. Obviously, he had the output that earns that. But a couple of things stood out to me is that, one, Creed Humphrey, as well as Lucas Niang, I think Trey as well, now they count him up, they played the entire game. They all graded out fairly well, but Creed Humphrey was the cream of the crop on the offensive line yesterday. And I think that is kudos to him. We've all kind of just pegged him in since OTAs as the starter, but I think he proved his worth is justified at this point. And everybody else had, hiccups here or there. I didn't see much problems for Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, I didn't either. And the one thing I will say about Creed Humphrey is that how much of a massive upgrade is that going to be for Kansas City if he can consistently play as well as he did yesterday? Mm-hmm. Because they struggled so bad at that position last year. And if he can continue to play like he does, I think the rest of the O-line gets together because they weren't there yesterday. And say what you want about Orlando Brown struggling. Yes, he did struggle against Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is probably, I don't know, is he top 5? I'd say he's easily a top 5 D end in this league.
Yeah.
I would say you could make an argument he's probably top 3, and there could be an argument for even higher than that. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a fantastic defensive end, and I'm surprised they didn't play him on Niang like you were expecting them to do and take more advantage of that. But the thing I will say is that Orlando Brown is still getting his feet wet in this offense, and to expect him to play at a high level the first game, I think that's what you want. But I don't think it was realistic going up against the competition he was going up against. And he's going to have to work on his technique. He's going to have to work on his drops. But against guys that have the power and the speed of Myles Garrett, which there aren't many in the NFL, right, he's going to struggle at those types of things if he doesn't get the technique and the drop down right. And like I said yesterday, Mahomes on his, I think it was his second sack, I think dropped too far. And he didn't step up in time, because if he stepped up, the tackles just washed those guys around him and he's probably okay. But he didn't step up. So
we talked about this in the preseason when Mitch Schwartz told me I was wrong, because I said the exact same thing. A couple of steps, deliver the ball and be done with it, and don't get hit. Same concept. But I'll tell you this. This doesn't shock us. I hope that you guys aren't shocked, because I'm targeting the Bills game. That's October 10th. I'm actually not going to be here for that game. I'm going to be out of the country with my wife for something special. So you guys are enjoy that. But that's game 5. And I think that's when this 5 guys, this offensive line unit, will have come all the way together, gelled, quote unquote. And I think that will be a stark difference. But I do want to get your opinion on a couple of things that did stand out to me, because I didn't notice at the time, but D-Rob actually outsnapped McCole by a few, but they were clearly the 1, 2, 3s on this particular game.
That doesn't shock me, because Robinson has considerably outsnapped Hardman in the past. And they obviously value him on the team for different things other than necessarily catching the ball, because he will do that from time to time. But he was out there. He didn't get many passes thrown his way. He didn't have many targets. And the only target that I can even think of right now off the top of my head is the one that he didn't get in the end zone. And that wasn't on him. That was a short throw by Patrick. Don't let me get that twisted.
It's a bit both.
Well, yeah, he should have come back for the ball, and I agree with that. But at the same time, the throw wasn't there, so you could put it on both. But obviously, they feel very comfortable with Robinson out there as a wide receiver, and maybe he's not there as a decoy. Maybe he's there as a guy that they understand is going to be in the right place at the right time, and they just didn't need it yesterday. Maybe they thought, okay, well, Tyreek Hill is doing so well sitting in these zones. Travis Kelce's eating him alive when he wants to. Why go to that when you have to? I mean, Byron Pringle got a couple of throws to him, but Robinson really didn't do much. And Robinson probably was also out there for most of the snaps that they were running the ball, would be my guess.
Yeah,
because they do really like him as a running blocker at a wide receiver,
as they should, and I completely agree with that. A couple of other things that stood out to me. Anthony Hitchens only outsnapped Nick Bolton by 2. And you guys can go back on the timeline if you care to, or I can just tell you it was really frustrating to watch this run defense. But you have to remember, this is what they chose to do. This is what Spags emphasizes, is the coverage and not the run game. There are very few teams that can attack them in the run like the Cleveland Browns did. Tennessee Titans are another one. We'll have to see what happens with Derrick Henry. He did not get going in the first week. But that said, we're going to see this again. The question is, does Nick Bolton then now get more reps in game 2 than Ben Neiman did? Because they were in a lot of base week 1. I don't think that's going to be the case week 2. I could be wrong, but that's going to be telling.
With the opponent, it could be. It could be a lot of base with the Ravens coming up.
Maybe there's no one left to run it.
Well, that's true. That's true, but they still have Lamar Jackson, who is a bigger threat to run at times than he really is to throw. And that's not to say he can't throw, but he's also hurting for weapons when it comes to throwing the ball right now as well. So I think that's going to play into it. But I think what you're seeing here is a situation where the run defense is going to struggle, because that's not what they're focused on. And I also think that you have to realize that, yes, Bolton only got 2 less snaps than Hitchens. Hitchens came out with an injury, so there's part of it is that too. So I don't know how many snaps he missed.
I think it was 2.
Was it only 2? I wasn't sure. I just know he came out with an injury, so that could play into that as well. I would like to see Bolton get more snaps than Neiman, although Neiman was at the right place at the right time to get that fumble. So
he was, as was Dan Sorensen. Obviously, big play there to pressure Baker at the end. He also missed 5 tackles on the day. Yep. So, like, the roller coaster that is Dan Sorensen is going to continue. I want to shout out 2 guys in particular, Mike Dana for getting the start, and I thought playing very solidly. Want more pass rush out of him, but we've been talking about this since last year. That's a tall order for him because he's not at the explosive DN type. And Colin Saunders, who I thought had some of the best snaps out there when he was in, he only played 11 snaps. I saw him in the backfield 3 times, though.
Yeah, he's disruptive, and I think that's the big question going forward is when you get to the teams that pass the ball, I think the DNs will hold up well enough. And I talked about this yesterday, and this is very important to understand. they really missed Frank Clark when it comes to defending the run yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, you say what you want about him not being able to get to the QB. There's a lot of value in what he is able to bring when it comes to the run. And that is a game that they absolutely needed him. And it would have been a lot. I think, I won't say a lot different, but I will say it would have been different yesterday. And I don't know that the Browns score 29 points if Frank Clark is playing, because that's how much of a difference he makes when it comes to stopping the run and setting the edge, because that's one of the things that they just killed Kansas City on. They got guys sucked in and couldn't set the edge, and it just kills you on defense.
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to be a question mark. Coach Reed said today that they're not sure about Frank, but they do expect Tyron to play next week, so we'll get into that. We'd like to know what you think about who played where and who made the bigger differences that maybe weren't highlighted on the broadcast. Leave your comments on YouTube and like and sub and hit that bell. And then over on the iTunes reviews, if you would hit us there for the audio section, check out Spotify and Odyssey and all the alternate platforms, not just Apple Podcast, because that's problematic at times, but we appreciate you guys taking the time here to spend with us. Thanks for the therapy session, Chris. I feel like I'm coming down now. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, it'll all be okay.
Cleveland in the playoffs here.
1-0. 1-0. That's what matters.
Right.
1-0, and not to mention 1-0 without 3 defensive starters.
Yeah, very, very prescient point. Folks, you enjoy your day-to-day. We'll be back with you tomorrow, and we'll talk to you then.